to start off, introduce yourself. Who are you? What you up to?
I go by the name of Dusk, and I'm basically preparing for college, and I'm currently working for the National Post Service in the Netherlands.
Tell us about this character you have.
Well, his name's Kuro. I haven't touched him for about 3 years. This is a character I made before I actually joined the furry community proper. Basically, there's just nothing interesting about this guy. Well, looks-wise anyway. No strange colors, it's just standard wolf kind of character. I think I made him back when I was, what, 18? And it was just like, I don't know, kind of just a character I always reference to when I was doing online role playing or stuff like that. But didn't actually ever do anything with him. And like back then, I didn't even have art of him, so I just like used just a wolf's head as a placement token for it, you know? And that's actually, I think that's the only art I've ever got on him that I've posted. But yeah, it's just a character I used for role playing, really, and like it is what slowly got me interested in the furry fandom. But yeah, it's just a really, really long time ago. And honestly, that character, when did I when was that uploaded? 3 years ago. Yep, that's the last time I touched him.
So you say you kind of made the character when you were 18. How long ago was that?
That was what, 7 years ago now?
And the last time that you used them was 3 years ago.
Yep.
What drew you to the character, to the design? You say that you were doing RP stuffs. Was there any thought in making them, or was there like, just a eventual, yeah, this is what I'm using now? Like, what was kind of the process to this character?
It was like, well, humans are boring, so I wanted something like with fur. So like, okay, what's a cool animal? Okay, wolf. Okay, what's my favorite color? Okay, black. Yeah, okay, that's my character. It's really basic how I came up with the idea. Like, there's no features to him at all. It's just literally a placeholder so I have something to describe.
And I can imagine just saying, yeah, it's a black wolf would be an easy description if you didn't have any concept of like getting art done of a character or something like that. So, I can kind of understand that logic in that process as well. So, for a more heavy hitting question here, what do you consider a forgotten character?
I consider a forgotten character a character that I haven't used in over 2 years.
Really, that's just kind of like just hard line, like 2 years old is like, all right, they haven't done anything in 2 years. It's a forgotten character to you.
The way I see it, right? Nowadays I'm always like, oh, what I could put this character in this situation, or like, do this with that character. Like, always coming up with some ideas. I just don't write them down because I'm silly like that. But yeah, it's just for example, there's one character that I did have female Umbreon Green Rings. Name was Zaezar, and I decided earlier this year, I haven't touched her in like a few years, so how about I spruce her up a little? So she went from a forgotten character to now being a used character again, even though I haven't touched her since got her redesigned. But there's plans for that.
That kind of leads me into the next thing here. What do you kind of consider a character then?
Uh, just something that either you've created or purchased if it's an adoptum, and like put some effort into giving it a personality and something that you can define as that person is basically just a person just in fantasy.
And with that, what about a sona, like a persona or a persona?
Like Dusk, for example.
Yeah, that's for example. Where's that difference lie?
The fact that I can identify myself very heavily inside my persona rather than just inside a different character, for example, Kuro or Ziva. Dusk is just, he's how I like to envision myself, because Dusk himself is like, he's kind, he's always looking out for each of people, loves hugs, and enjoys camping, things like that. These are all things that speak to me personally, and so it's just a lot easier for me to just identify as that character.
What was some of the stuff that made you stick with Kuro for so long? I mean, that was 4 years that you were using this character. Was there any reasoning there?
I didn't discover the furry fandom until I was what 2021. So like for the majority of the time, I was just using them as just really a placement. I didn't see any need to like put a face to myself since it was just purely text roleplay and stuff. So I didn't feel the urge to change it.
It's been 3 long years since this character's ever seen the light of day. Is there any particular reason they haven't seen any love recently?
Yes, and it's personally it is a painful subject. This character was basically uh this was a character that I used to use a lot when role playing with my girlfriend at the time, but things went downhill from there, and yeah, it just he basically died with the relationship.
So there's a lot of emotional turmoil related to the character. I can definitely understand that. Is there some way to bring them back? Like, is there something that you could possibly do to them that would make you like want to get more work done with them? Or is this going to be a character that you ultimately will just actually drop and just won't have any more at all?
Well, when I properly joined the fandom, there was this. I changed my placeholder of Kuro from being into an Umbreon named Dusk, the person I am today, even though now I've changed Dusk into a dragon. That's a story for a different time. But ever since the move, I thought, I should still do something with him. And so one time, I decided to use him as a D&D character. He got a bit of a color change, but he was a lot more fun to use in that situation. But I think if I would bring him back, it would probably be as a D&D character.
So just kind of completely removing him from his original purpose almost entirely in order to breathe life into him again. That's all right. Yeah, I can understand that. I can actually really appreciate that. So, you said you used him as a D&D character. Was that the last time you used them 3 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
With that in mind, knowing that, they kind of exist in this other form, kind of separate from the emotions with them, is there a way that they could come back as a mainline design, like not a D&D character, but as a main character, even if they're heavily changed from what they are now? Would that be something that is like a possibility?
Probably not, to be honest. I don't think so. Because yeah, when it comes to characters, they usually have well thought out backgrounds. Like, I spend way too long in the background and way too little on the art. It's yeah, it's just I already have too many characters, so I don't really feel a need to breathe new life into him outside of the world that he exists in.
They've already been like changed a little bit. They're existing in this other form. They won't be making it back to a main design. What's stopping you from dropping them?
In a way, I kind of already have. But just like I don't like letting go, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a box where you put all sorts of variables in from like past times. You like occasionally look into it and like reminisce about the old times, kind of thing. That character just basically reminds me of, well, when things were actually a lot better for me. So it's just kind of like a reminder for what things used to be like and what things could be like if I just work hard.
And it sounds like Kuro was more of a just kind of a thing that you talked through, not talked as. Do you think that could have been one possible reason why they've become kind of a forgotten character? Because now you have this you that you use instead of this, individual that you talked as?
That probably played a part into why I never went back to him. The main reason why he became a forgotten character was because of the whole relationship stuff just fizzling out.
I think that's actually kind of enough general chats. Do you have like any closing thoughts on this?
Not in particularly. Like I said, it's a character that I haven't touched in a while. It's more of a memorabilia kind of thing, and I at least have one piece of art of him that I can just look back on. And honestly, it's a very apt image, I think.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.